Blah, y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yaakov, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? This is the place where you want to hide from your drama or maybe hide from your baby mama. Aha, just kidding. Y si tú quieres cambiar tu vida, if you want to change your life, then subscribe. Ching. And by the way, guys, I just published a book called Shabbat in Chicago. It's out on Amazon. It's about an audacious single mom who opens her heart and home to five adopted kids while embracing her Latino culture while being Jewish. And also, I just actually finished my whole documentaries out based on my book called Shabbat in the Shy. So check it out on YouTube. And guys, today we have a very special guest. He is one of my considered friend, my brother. He's back on the podcast for round two. The one and only Hasan. What's up, brother?
Brother man, what's up, brother? Red Dream.
Oh man, it's an honor, brother. It's an honor. You don't understand, man. I miss you, man. You looking good. You're looking good.
Thank you, man. You too.
Thank you, brother. I want to say, one thing that stood out when, I was at work. You came by to visit me, and we had a discussion about Star Wars. You saw me reading a book, and you're like, bro, that's crazy. You like Star Wars, and we had a whole discussion about Darth Vader. And I want to, pick at your brain because Star Wars is one of the biggest franchise, my favorite of all time. I want to know if you could tell us who's your favorite character and what movie resonates with you, and dive into what scene actually is your favorite scene. So please spill the beans. Maybe not the cheese, but yeah, spill the beans.
Sure, man. So my favorite character, I would say, was Anakin. Especially as he was transitioning into Darth Vader. And that comes from my favorite movie in the franchise, Revenge of the Sith. And my favorite scene, I would say the conversation where he was sitting down with Yoda and Master Yoda was telling him he could sense that he was uneasy, that Anakin was uneasy. And, Anakin kept having these dreams about losing Padme. And Yoda said to him that you have to free yourself and you have to train yourself to let go of what you're afraid to lose, because fear of loss is a path to the dark side. So that scene really struck a chord with me.
Oof. And why is that? Can you go deeper? Because I know you got something to share. Please, I want to hear more. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Just I don't know, just my own, as I've gotten older, and just my own self-reflection, and just realizing that fear of loss is something that I've dealt with growing up. So that scene really struck with me because I find it to be true. Change is one of the only things constant. And the universe is always in a state of flux and impermanence. So nothing stays the same. Like, it's always changing. And the more we try to cling to the familiar, for one, it's futile, because things are always changing. And when we try to cling to things, we kind of set ourselves up for pain and failure. So it's best to just learn to go with the flow. And like Yoda said, train yourself to let go of the things you're afraid to lose.
Oof, that's deep. I gotta be honest.
Mm.
I think a lot of times with the youth, let's just put this in other perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young people are afraid to lose their video game. They're playing 2K and you're like, yo, I'm doing good in this basketball game. I don't want to lose my character or my team, right? Because I earned it.
Mm.
And I've seen like videos of pranks where the girl, she accidentally deletes all his files. So everything he earns so much, he goes crazy. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
He goes so nuts. He's like, babe, I can't believe you did that. That took so much money and time. And like, he lost his stuff. He went crazy. But at the end of the day, it's a video game. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a real person. It's a video game. Some people even, let's take it to that you borrow someone's car, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you crashed it. You feel bad, right? That you
Mm-hmm.
borrowed the car or you crashed it. Let's just put it that perspective. You crashed it,
Mm-hmm.
and you to tell your best friend, "Hey, I messed up your car." How's he gonna take it? And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, as people, we react through emotion. We react because that's mine and
Right.
it belongs to me. When it comes down to relationship, I feel like we could be sometimes so. I like what you said last time in the last podcast. You said complacent. We keep
Mm-hmm.
being complacent,
Mm-hmm.
and or we're codependent on the person,
Mm-hmm.
and we lose ourselves. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be careful, and same goes like in life. We are gonna lose our parents. In life, we're gonna lose our partner. You know, natural death is part of life.
Right.
But if we don't learn to, like you said, let go. You know, it's okay to love them. Yes, I love them. Yes, it'll hurt me, but you have to let go. I think that's a hard thing because we want to hold on to it. You feel me?
Right. But it's like you either let go or you get dragged. And with the clip of the guy that had his 2K account deleted, it's interesting, right? Because like you said, it's not reality, right? It's not what we would call reality, but to him it's very important. So when I first saw the clip, like I laughed because it was funny, but then when I sat and thought with it, I'm like, okay, why was that the reaction? Like why was it such a strong reaction? And of course, it's something that he put time into, and um, something he was proud of, right? But why? And this goes even deeper into just the whole video game culture, and why people get so attached to avatars and these false realities. And it's funny because I feel like one of the things is that for they talk about that there's a huge epidemic of like people feeling disconnected, right? So it's like we have social media, so we're the most connected and disconnected at the same time. So I feel like with these video game spaces, it gives people that pseudo sense of connectedness, right? And then it was a term that I learned the other day, relative positioning. So it's kind of like it's it's a human it's a human conditioning and a human nature where we kind of see where our place is in the world, in our communities, right? And we will use comparison to do that. And what video games allow is it gives that sense of rank, right? That sense of relative positioning to where you have a place, right? You might not in your everyday, you may not feel seen, or you may not feel like you have a place in your day to day, whether it's your job or your family, your friends. But these video game spaces gives you a sense of belonging, a sense of rank, if that makes sense. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's so attractive to people, because it gives that outlet, which is a human need.
Yeah, for sure, brother. I
Yeah.
want to even go a little deeper. Let's talk about too when people they gravitate of how many followers they get in social media. And let's be real, brother. Let's be real. You and I,
Mm-hmm.
the greatest leaders of all time, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm X, they didn't have following on social media. They
Right.
had real followers, the
Mm-hmm.
people that followed their message, that followed the way they thought, the way they see things. Um, that's a real leader. So I always tell people, followers, right, on social media are people following, they're following, but it's not real.
Right.
It is because at the same time, these followers who you consider your fans, they could betray you in a heartbeat. You do something wrong, they're all against you. You do
Mm-hmm.
something good, they're all for you. but they're not genuine because something I learned from my friend who does content every day. He does it for a living. He said
Mm,
that he has to post every day
mm,
just to make his income. But the thing is, if I'm sick, if someone in my family dies, the fans don't care
right.
because at the end of the day, I need to post something. So in the camera, I look like I'm smiling, but it's all an act. So we go back to what's reality.
Yeah, and I mean with social media, it's a big highlight reel, right? So you're posting the good times, like it's very one sided, and it's also it could be it could be addictive, and it could be dangerous. It's something that I myself have to be mindful of because we're both on a space where we post things on social media, and if I find myself being too engaged on likes and stuff like that, I have to like catch myself because it's a slippery slope. You can easily get dragged into that. And the thing too is like I feel like a lot of people, I don't know if it's most, but I know a lot of people, they're just spectators anyway. Like as far as actual genuine people that you might consider followers, I think it's few and far in between. And I think it's important to remember that and not get swept up and caught into that because um, if it's giving too much power away when you allow something like the applause from the audience to dictate your mood, right? That's giving too much of your power away. Like you said, it's not real reality.
Yeah, that's true. So
Yeah.
I want to speak about mentorship, right?
Sure.
Mentorship is a big thing in Star Wars. I got to take it back, right, to the Force. The Force was calling me to tell you that, but you know what I'm saying? But I had to, I had to bring it. But I want you to tell me what when you see Obi-Wan and Anakin,
Mhm,
the mentorship there
mhm.
compared to Palpatine and Anakin, what can you differentiate the two? What comes to your mind from their mentorship and like your own personal mentors in your life? If you could see the comparison.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I was introduced to Star Wars from one of my uncles, and I joke and I call him Uncle Obi-Wan. He calls me young Skywalker from when I was young. And he's the one that introduced me to Star Wars. And the kind of relationship that he and I have always had has been one of mentorship. You know, he's always been one that's given me different gems and different life lessons. So that's another reason why I like Star Wars the way that I do is because of the person that introduced me to it. As far as the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan and the difference between that and him and Padme, it was Obi-Wan gave him guidance, and Obi-Wan tried to get him to make decisions not divorced from emotion, but with his emotions in check, right? Stoicism is a theme that's big in Star Wars as well, right? Not to get swept by your emotions. With the relationship between Anakin and Padme, he was more led by his emotions,
I'm sorry,
right?
Palpatine. Palpatine.
Oh, Palpatine. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
My head going
not
off.
Padme,
I'm
because
still
I
at
know
one
he
with
was in
that.
love. I know he was in love, but don't get
Right,
too
right.
don't get stuck in
Okay,
love.
so
Yes, yes.
let me go in that direction. So with Palpatine, um, Palpatine used Anakin's emotions against him. He was able to see the fear of loss and the seed of the dark side that Anakin had in him. So he was able to play on that and stoke that, right? And he was able to offer him the ability to cheat death, pretty much. And that was so attractive to Anakin because he didn't want to lose his loved one. As instead of accepting it as a natural course of life, he was willing to do with whatever he could. So even though he did it with um, pure intentions to a degree, right? He didn't want to lose, his loved one. It drew him because he wanted that more than anything. He would do anything for it. Even betrayed uh, his original mentor, betrayed the code of conduct that he was raised on. He just betrayed everything because he wanted this one thing so much. And that happens in life too. Sometimes we'll want something so much that we're willing to. It's kind of like fame, right? Like with famous folks, how they'll say they sell their soul, right? Because they want that validation so much that they'll go against whatever morals that they might have stood on.
Oh, that's deep, brother. I like how you added that. I like that, brother. That was pretty good. That's really
Yeah.
good. I was gonna say too. So you're gonna love this, brother. So Obi-Wan, his relationship with Anakin, I look at it like a best friend. You have best friends where they call you out on your stuff when you mess up,
Mm.
and they put you on check. Like, hey man, you gotta fix this right here. Hey brother, I think you gotta leave this girl. She's not for you. This things like that. That's how I see the relationship. It's like, but sometimes friendship can only go so far, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Sometimes if you guys have a conflict and you don't resolve it, it could be years y'all don't talk no more. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And Obi-Wan and Anakin relationship, it changed. It
Yeah.
died. You feel what I'm saying? Obi-Wan still loved Anakin because he still protected his kids. That's how much love he had, right? Anakin kind of Vader, he moved on, right? He's like, I got my own squad.
Right.
Palpatine's my master. I gotta do what he say. But here's the interesting thing. I'm gonna share something I haven't shared on the podcast before. So one of the books, Darth Plagueis, right, which I mentioned with you, talks about Palpatine at 19, and when he was in college, he met Darth Plagueis at the library for the first time, and he asked Palpatine a very famous question. He says, "What do you want in this world? Is it politics? Is it fame? What is it?" And at first, Palpatine said, "I don't know what I want." But later on, when Palpatine learns the dark side, he actually says to Darth Plagueis, ask him again, "What do you want?" And he says, "I want to rule over the galaxy.
Mm.
I want to be emperor." And Darth Plagueis says, "I'll give you that, anything you want. All you have to do is let me teach you all the ways of the Force, basically the Dark Force."
Mm.
And he did. Now check this out. In Revenge of the Sith, in the book, not in the movie, in the book, Palpatine does the same strategy with Anakin. There's a scene where they're in the office, and Palpatine tells Anakin, "You see everything in the sky? You can have anything you want." And Anakin thought he was joking. He's like, "Anything?" He goes, "Yeah. If you want that building, I can give you." And Anakin gives a dumb answer. He goes, "I want to get the speed racer, whatever. It's like some little flying car."
Mm.
He goes, "You really want that? I can get you a whole ship." That's what Palpatine said. "I can give you a whole planet." And so Anakin starts, "All right, then I want this," right? He starts naming what he wants. And it's interesting because Palpatine, he's using the same strategy as his old master, Darth Plagueis, to capture Anakin's attention. It's almost like, let's take it now. I'm going to get a little biblical. Let's take it to the story of Adam and Eve. When the snake told Eve, "If you eat this fruit, you can have all the knowledge, the wisdom, you'll have it, the knowledge of good and evil. But all you got to do is eat that fruit."
Mm.
And Eve is like, "Man, you're right. I want to eat it. I'm not supposed to, but I want to eat it." And she eats the fruit.
Mm.
And then she tells her man, "Hey, honey, if you want to have the voice of knowledge, or the knowledge of good and evil, you got to eat this fruit."
Mm.
He's like, "Damn, my babe telling me I'm going to do it too." Yeah. And they ate it. You see what I mean? it opened a door.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like temptation can lead you to sin, right?
Oh yeah.
Temptation is so gravitating. Even doing sin, if I have to be frank with you, brother, doing sin can be pleasurable, but the bad thing, it goes against our self, it goes against God, it goes against our the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's how I look at it. Palpatine used manipulation to trick Anakin to believe an idea. And at the end of the day, Palpatine actually didn't know how to save Padme. He really didn't, because he didn't really study Darth Plagueis' style of playing with the midi chlorians. He didn't get to that level.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all a dream. It was all a fantasy. It's like you say in earlier, the video game is a virtual reality. It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin believed it was real, but was it really real? And you know what I'm saying? And it goes back to this. I just want to share. Vader, when he became Darth Vader, he had to be Darth Vader in order to bring balance to the Force. He knew the good from Obi-Wan, from
Mm-hmm.
Yoda, but mostly from Obi-Wan. He learned the ways of the Force. The biggest argument people say is why Yoda couldn't be the person to bring balance to the Force. He's been here for 600 years. He should have been able to, right? But he didn't know the ways of the Dark Force. Anakin, who became Darth Vader, learned the dark side, mastered both, and at the end, he destroyed his own master, Palpatine, the Emperor, and he brought balance to the Force through the help of his son Luke Skywalker. Gotta give him credit.
Mm-hmm.
He saw the good in him, like his mother saw the good in his her husband when Padme said before she died, Obi-Wan, there's still good in him.
Yeah, I
Remember?
remember that scene. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful line. So, what you think, brother? What I just shared, what you think?
One thing you said that stuck out to me is with Anakin bringing balance to the Force, right? And why couldn't Yoda do it? Because you can't have the light without the dark. You can't have you can't have the good without the bad. You can't have even with a battery. In order for a battery to work, you need the positive and the negative, right? So with Anakin and him studying the dark force, or what you would call the negative, that balances the scales. So that's an excellent point. I never thought about that until you said that. That by him becoming Darth Vader, and I'm not too familiar with the storyline afterwards with him and Palpatine, but you're saying he destroyed Palpatine, but just him going into the dark side of the Force brought balance, because you can't, like, you need both. You can't have one without the other. That's the actual balance. It's not just okay. It's all the good side, because that's even that is that's unbalanced, right? You need to have that other side. And I never thought about that until you said that. So that's
That's
a great
good.
point. That's a great
Thank
point.
you, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how now let's talk about the relationship with Luke and Vader.
Sure.
Luke, he lost his arm from his father, and it
Mm-hmm.
became a mechanical arm. Remember, Anakin had a mechanical arm too from
Mm-hmm.
Dooku when he took his arm.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard that saying, like father, like son?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Luke has that in common with Vader. He lost his arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has a mechanical arm now. He became the greatest Jedi of all time, the best pilot, just like his father. It was in his genes he was going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is whether or not he was going to become a Jedi or not, that was the question, but he actually did, right? When he had the moment when Vader was talking to him, they're walking the hallway. This is the Return of the Jedi. Love that movie. My favorite of all time.
Okay.
They're walking together, and Vader's like, "You have finished your training," and he goes, he goes, he goes, he goes, you gotta now you're gonna be you should let Palpatine teach you, right? Whatever. Let him be your master. He will teach you the ways of the Force. And I love what Luke says. I'm paraphrasing. He says, Father, you know I would never join the dark side. You only forgot that you were once Anakin. That is your true nature.
Mm.
And he goes, that's not my name no more. And it's amazing because you know, at first the relationship with Luke and Vader, he hated Vader because he killed his teacher Obi-Wan. And when he found out that that's his father, that even pulled like I think it popped the vein somewhere, but it popped the vein for my brother Luke. He was going
Yeah.
crazy, fell
Mm.
off the cliff, and he was just like no, and I would have had the same reaction. I was like,
I
dang
mean,
you,
yeah, that was one of the greatest twists like in cinematic history up until that point.
yeah, yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I had to rewind it, man. I probably dropped the popcorn, but that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Luke took the time, took the energy to forgive his father, that is a greatest gift a son or a child can do for their parents when they do them wrong. When our parents do us wrong, and they're not perfect, they make mistakes, and we take the opportunity to forgive them, we become a greater person. We break the curse. We we let go of the grudges. We let go of the anger, and we learn to let go. Like you were saying earlier, let go, go with the flow. And I know that even though Luke lost his father, he knows that he did his best for his father, and he did turn to the light at the end. That's a beautiful part. I want to share some real quick, a little small story.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave a book event, right? As those who know, it's about my single mom and how I wasn't really raised by my father. And I remember this girl, she came up to me and she shared her story. It was a beautiful story. She said, my mother left me when I was young. I grew up with my father. And it took many years trying to find my mom, and I had this anger, and I had a lot of things going on with my heart, my mind. I even got therapy. I wanted to get help,
Mm-hmm.
and I took the courage to find my mom, and I finally did. And I thought maybe she left me because of me, but I learned that she was struggling with her own battles, with her own vices, and I took the time to forgive her. And now my mom and I are best friends. Talk every day. We hang out. We rekindle what we lost. All that time that was gone, this is our moment to break that basically that curse or the break that trauma, break that cycle, and then
Mm-hmm.
start a new chapter where we're a family again. And I love that. When she told me that, I was like, whoa, that is real forgiveness.
Yeah.
I have to share that. What do you think, brother, from that?
Man, I can relate. I mean, I have a similar story, you know.
Tell me.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like they say, forgiveness is for you, it's not for the other person, right? So it's ironic because I was raised by a single mother, right? And I reconnected with my father like the same time that you and I did the first podcast. It was all around the same time, you know? And that was what, like 3 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
So since then, like I've built a relationship with my father as well. Similar to like the girl told you her mother. And it took forgiveness, right? And also coming to the realization that, our parents are humans. They're humans too. Like when we're young, we tend to give our parents like this godlike status, right? And then as you get older and you have your own trials, your own tribulations through life, you learn to understand them more. And that was something that I experienced. And it's funny because as I had more in-depth conversations with my father, I realized just how alike we are. You know, we even have some of the same, like, we've had similar experiences in life, and I realize we have similar, like, shortcomings, right? So it's like the saying, the sins of the father, right? And how people will talk about breaking generational patterns, right? It's very true. I mean, it's epigenetics. A lot of things are in the DNA, right? So it's not just woo-woo talk. Like, it's a fact. Like, even though you may not grow up with a certain parent, a lot of that information is in the DNA and it's within you. And I know for me, coming to that place of forgiveness, it I needed it. Like, I never realized, I'd gotten to a point where I was like, I'm cool without this relationship. But it's like they say, you can't miss what you never had, right? It wasn't until that relationship was established that I was like, I really needed this, because it gave me the opportunity to understand him better, but it gave me the opportunity to understand myself better, you know? So yeah, I can understand where that girl was coming from, for sure.
Oh, man, beautiful, brother. I'm proud of you, brother, for
Thank you, bro.
breaking the cycle and building that relationship. It's amazing thing, man. You're doing good things, brother. I'm proud of you. You're different. You're definitely a different Hassan. I don't know this one. I like him. I can tell you he's in the ways of the force. You know what I'm
That's, and you know what? Even with that, like, just the concept of the force, like, it's it ties in with a lot of religious beliefs, a lot of beliefs on spirituality, right? The darkness and the light, even the power of choice, right? The power of free will. Because even in Star Wars, like, even with Anakin, right, bringing it back to Star Wars, like, he had the free will to make that decision on what direction he wanted to go in, right? Did he want to go in the direction of the light or the direction of darkness? And that ties into free will, and the free will that we have to either go with the light or go with the dark. So even that ties in beautifully with the whole concept of Star Wars. And I think that's, Star Wars has so much philosophy in it that I think that's one of the things that really draws people to the series. On top of the fight scenes and the cinematic theatrics and everything, but just the philosophy behind the story itself is so deep that it draws people in, because it parallels life in a lot of ways.
No, it's true. It's true, brother. I like that. Well, look, brother, it looks like Zoom about to kick me out. So look, real quick. Um, Guys, this is the Outlet to Reality, the oldest podcast in Vegas and Chicago every Tuesday. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Ching!
Yes,
Y'all know
sir.
where to find me. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, the Outlet to Reality. My Snapchat's Take One Pass It, and my TikTok is at Yaakov28. And brother, where can my fans find you?
I'm on Instagram, keep_it_organic spelled with the number 0. Yeah, and then the business page, C Moss Prime, all on Instagram.